lovelies, welcome. Today we're going to go over the basics of brioche stitch, and we will be knitting brioche flat to start out as opposed to in the round. So I have my little sample here. On this side you see the stripes in the darker color, and then on this side, on the reverse, the stripes go up in the lighter color. Okay, so how we're going to start is you want to cast on an odd number of stitches. So I cast on 21 stitches, which means my pattern is going to be over 19 stitches, plus I have 2 selvage edges. There are different ways to cast on for brioche. I used long tail cast on. Also, you could use backward loop, or you could do this fancy one called an Italian 2-color cast on, but that is an episode all on its own. So let's get started. So I have my working yarn attached to my ball here. I've just finished casting on. Now, normally I would turn my needle to knit back, but we're not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to slide my stitches to the other side of my circular needle. Okay, see here? Slid my stitches. And now I'm going to do a setup row. So now with my setup row and my dark color, here's the end of my dark color, I am going to slip the first stitch purlwise, and then I'm going to knit the following stitch. So just wrap my yarn around, and I'm going to knit the following stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to do something that looks on an abbreviation as an SL1YO, which means slip one, yarn over. So I'm going to bring my yarn to the front to yarn over, and then slip a stitch, and then I'm going to knit the following stitch. And see, the slip one combined with the yarn over here creates a shawled stitch. The yarn over goes behind the slipped stitch. And we're going to bring our yarn to the front and slip, and then knit. We're going to do this all the way across the row. Bring your yarn to the front, slip, and knit. Yarn to the front, slip, and knit. And when we get to our last 2 stitches, I'll see you back here at our last 2 stitches. Okay, so now I'm at the last 2 stitches, and see my very last stitch is kind of loose. So now what I'm going to do, my last 2 stitches, is I'm going to knit one. Okay, and then I'm going to bring my yarn to the front, and then I'm going to slip the last stitch. So this will be a selvage stitch, and so will this one. So the yellow becomes my main color. Now I have both of my working yarns, the light and the dark, are on the same edge of my knitting. When both my working yarns are at the same end of the needle, then and only then can you turn. If you have a working yarn attached to this end of your needle and a working end attached to the knitting on this side, then you need to slide your work and knit with the other color. Okay? So in brioche, you always do the same color first. Essentially, we are knitting each row twice. That was our setup row. So now we are doing row 1, and this is going to be a light side. So that means on this side of the work, we are going to have yellow V's, and on the other side of the work, we're going to have brown V's. Okay? All right. So, or rather, this is raspberry colored V's. So on this side, I am going to knit one, and then I'm going to bring my yarn to the front, and I'm going to do a slip one with the yarn over, and then I'm going to do a bark. It's abbreviated BRK, and that means brioche knit. So that means I'm going to knit the yarn over and the shawled stitch together. See this slip stitch pair? knit that together like it's one stitch. That's your bark. That's your brioche knit. I'm going to bring the yarn to the front, slip, and then I'm going to bark. I'm going to do my brioche knit. See, yarn to the front. This is my slip one with the yarn over, and then we bark. Okay, slip one. Well, we bring our yarn to the front, then we slip one. This is our yarn over and our bark. So we're gonna do slip one yarn over and bark all the way until we have 2 stitches left on our row. Yarn to the front, slip one, and we're going to bark. Yarn to the front, slip one, and we're going to bark. Yarn to the front, slip, and bark. And yarn to the front. And for our last 2 stitches, we are going to slip one, combined with the yarn over, and then we are going to knit the last stitch. See? So this is our pair here, and this is our last stitch. And now, since I have a red string on the right and a yellow on the left, I am going to slide my work all the way to the end. Now I can go ahead and knit with the raspberry string. Raspberry, red, brown, the dark one. Okay, so now we're going to knit that same row again, but we're doing it with the darker color. So since this is our selvage edge, you see it's yellow, we slip this one. And then we have to bring our yarn to the front, because now we're going to burp, which is BRP for brioche purl. That means we're going to purl this slip stitch pair together as if they are one stitch. So go ahead and purl. And then our yarn is already in the front, so we're gonna slip, yarn over, bring our yarn back to the front, and we're going to purl again. This is our burp. Brioche is funny because you'd knit in public and then you'd hear your people walk by and they hear you going burp, bark, burp, bark. And what is she doing? All right, so now we're going to slip, yarn over, and we're gonna burp. I love that brioche is full of burps and barks. Yarn over, and we're gonna purl. See, our burp, our brioche purl. So we're gonna slip one, this is our yarn over, back to the front, and purl that pair together. That's our brioche purl. Slip, yarn over, burp. So we have slip, yarn over, burp. So this is slip, yarn over, and a burp. And then this is slip one, yarn over, and burp. Okay, and we're gonna slip it again. See, and when we slip and we do the yarn over, see the dark yarn goes around the yellow V. Bring it to the front, and then for our last 2 stitches, we are going to burp one, then we are going to move our yarn to the back, and then we slip one. All right, huzzah! There we have it. Ba-ba! We have completed row 1. Now we have both our working yarns on the same end of our knitting, and we're going to turn our work. Okay. Now we're going to do the dark side. Okay, so on the dark side, what we're going to do is, starting with our light color, because that's our main color, we're going to purl this first stitch. And then you may notice your yarns get a little twisted. Take this time to untwist your yarn balls. All right. Okay. So we're going to purl this first one. Well, we said slip with the yarn in the back, but I think you want to leave it where it was. I think you just want to slip it because we're going to be knitting on this side. It makes more sense if it's back there. So then we're going to slip one. We've purled, so we slip one. We're going to do our yarn over, and then we're going to burp again. And then we're going to slip one, yarn over to go around the dark stitches, and we burp. See? Slip one, bring our yarn up around the dark stitch, and then we burp. We slip one, yarn over, and the burp. Slip one, yarn over, and burp. And then there's slip one. We're going to slip one, yarn over, burp all the way across. Yes, this row sounds just like what we just completed with the dark yarn before. So our yarn's in the front, slipping our stitch, yarn over, and burp. Slip one, yarn over, burp. And then we're going to, for our last two stitches, we're going to slip one, yarn over, and purl our last stitch. Bam! Okay, so if we take a look now, you can see our pattern is starting to evolve. See? And then on this side, we've got our yellow stripe here, see? All right, so now we have yellow is on the left and our raspberry is on the right. So we are going to slide. If you would like a set of these instructions, we will have a link to these instructions on the classes page of our website. We will post a link to the instructions in the description of this video. Okay, so now we are on the dark color of the dark side, the dark color of the dark side. So what we're gonna do first, since this is yellow, is that we are going to slip, and then we are going to bark this stitch. So remember, bark is our brioche knit, abbreviated BRK, and you knit that slip stitch pair together. Then bring our yarn to the front, because we're going to slip one with the yarn over, and then we're going to bark again. And we are going to slip one, yarn over, bark all the way across. So bring our yarn to the front, slip one, and then when we go to knit, since our yarn's in the front here, this creates the yarn over. You see? Your yarn to the front, slip one, and bark. Bring our yarn to the front, slip one, and then when we knit our brioche knit, since the yarn was in the front, that automatically creates our yarn over, and it gives you a pair. So you have a diagonal piece of yarn in one color, and then the purled piece of yarn in another. See? That's your pair. So then we're going to slip one, with our yarn in the front, and knit. That gives us our slip one, yarn over, yarn in the front, slip one, bark, yarn in the front, slip one, and bark, yarn in the front, slip one, and bark, yarn in the front, slip one, and we bark. And then our last stitch is going to be a slip. We'll pull this a little bit snug over here, and look, we are all set. And that's all there is to brioche. And you can practice your light side and your dark side over and over again. And you can make your piece as tall as you like. And we will see you next time when we talk about doing brioche in the round. Thank you very much for watching. If you have questions, please feel free to ask us in the comments below. Also, you can send us an email at lovelyarns@gmail.com. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And happy stitching!